All right. So I think we're here. Yep. Well, let's see here. Yes. Coming on. Yes. Sorry, we decided we'd try something new this week. You guys had mentioned wanting to see us watching more stuff on YouTube versus watching on Facebook, which is totally cool. So, sorry, I'm kind of doing double duty here. So, this here, controller over there, just to make sure we get everything running. So, as you're jumping on here, let us know where you're watching from, and yeah,
questions.
Yes,
Questions.
We've definitely got a couple that some people asked over on the Facebook page that we'll be hitting here in a little bit. So yeah, like I said, as you guys are jumping on here, let us know where you're watching from. We've been it's been a pretty.
It's been a while.
It's yeah. We took some time away. We had a lot of stuff we had to get taken care of. Looking forward to kind of getting back in the gear of doing these again. And I'm still looking at the whole Zoom kind of thing. So that's coming. So it'll all be good. So and if you're not on our Facebook Amp Kit group, make sure you go look over there, join that in.
Yeah, definitely.
AJ and I both manage it over there, and people come in, ask questions about the kits they're building. If they run into issues, everybody. It's a it's a great group where people jumping in there, helping out. If they get stumped, everybody likes to jump in. So very friendly group.
Yeah, and it's just another facet for us to keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on. We know with everybody out there, because we work so much here. This is kind of like our little microcosm that we work in here. So, but it's good to hear, of course, from our customers and really everybody about what's going on in the tube amp world or music world, anything guitar related, music related. Just that's why we're here. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so let's see who else up here so far. We've got. There it goes. Hey, we got one from Mexico.
All
cool.
right.
I've been there. Well, part of Mexico. Mexico's a big place.
It is beautiful country. Wow.
And very, very vast as far as the climates and the color and just everything.
Right.
So, let's see here. We got Bill from South Jersey. Awesome. Welcome.
South Jersey. Whereabouts in South Jersey?
Yeah.
Bill.
So, let's see here. And as you guys may or may not know, or may have seen, we have the Amp Kit class that is coming up in October.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be part of that, make sure you go over to the website, go up to resources, you'll see Amp Kit class.
Yep.
You can sign up there. It'll be AJ and I put it on. It's a Friday and a Saturday.
Yep. I believe it's 22nd, 23rd.
Yes. Yeah.
October. We've already had a couple people sign up, so.
So yeah, it'll be here at our Mojo facility here in North Carolina. We're probably about 20 minutes from Wilmington, which, if you come down to the beach, go hang out there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of great places for food. So if you're a foodie,
yeah, it's a good place to be.
We got you covered. So let's see here. Let's see. Hang on.
South Jersey.
Let's see here.
Lord.
Sierra Madre, California. Nice. I have no idea where that's at. I just know what California is,
Woolwich Township. I have not heard of that.
Let's see here. We got another South Jersey. Hey, look at that. Woodwich Township.
I've heard of that.
Sweet. Sorry, it's one of those of like I know about where things are, but as far as when you get to cities, I'm gone. Let's see.
Gloucester, TWP. What is
that?
Gloucester Township? Is that? Oh, you're New Jersey. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking Gloucester, Massachusetts. I was like, oh, I've been there.
Swedenboro. All right, to be exact. Nice. There we go. Rio de Janeiro. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Very cool.
Athens, Georgia.
Hey, I know where that's at. I passed through that to go see family. So yeah, I know exactly where you're at. Cool. Well, so I figured as we jump on here, like I said, you guys, feel free to drop in some questions. Anything you want us to cover. I know we had a couple things pop up on here from Facebook as far as one was to cover some lead dress wiring tips for the 18-watt TMB. I have noticed a couple people that have run into some roadblocks with that, and it really comes down to wiring, to get away from possible oscillation, cut down on noise, ground loops, hum, all that kind of stuff there. And trust me, I get it. You're building out your amp. You're going this way. Okay. You get excited. You get to that back section, because if you're anything like me, I work left, right, and front to back, whatever. You get down there, it's like, I'm so close. I just wanted to just wire it up and go. In the meantime, you got a rat's nest that's hanging out like that, and you know.
Yeah, not good.
No. It definitely doesn't help. So basically, we've got one of our Mojo blackouts. Right there behind you, on the wall.
Yep.
There you go. So we got the Mojotone blackout, or British blackout, sorry, that is based very closely to the TMB. And if you want to show them, give them a little pointers on a couple things that you would do.
I'll bring this close to the camera here. So if you notice, this is very similar to a TMB, but of course it's got some modifications because we're running 6 V6s in this. So if you notice on what will be the gain channel, the second channel for the TMB, which would be down here, right where my fingers are at, the controls are here. We run a shielded wire off of the input.
Do it.
Here. We do.
I'll hold you point.
Okay.
There
We
you
do shielded wiring off the inputs for the gain channel. If your wiring's really clean, you really won't need that for your normal channel. It's pretty short run. Irregardless, I'm sorry, I'm screaming right in the microphone here. But if you notice the lead dress, we try to keep everything separated, and there is we don't pick random colors. The coloring actually means different things for your plate, your grid, and your cathodes. And Marshall had started that. I'm not sure if anybody's aware of that, but there's an actual way. There's a code that they actually wire by, and this is done very similar to that. Of course, can caps are always over on the power supply, like the regular TMB. Excuse me. And actually, most of the amps we do, you'll notice your power supply always has your filtering, closest to it, other than a black face, which is something totally different. But we're talking about the TMB right now.
Yeah.
So, is it getting heavy?
No, it's fine. At least it's not a twin. I'll tell you that. At least it's not a twin.
Right. So the way that the boards are laid out, if you notice, the inputs are here, and there's a reason they put the inputs all the furthest away from the power supply, because you don't want to inject any kind of hum or signal back into your input that gets, of course, amplified and put back out. So that's exactly why amp companies do that. And a very well laid out amp like this, the 18 watt is a little different than the TMB. The 18 watts kind of got some phase inverter weirdness going on, where they'll run the wiring over here, then back over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird crossover stuff on those.
Strange. But you can basically draw a line right here and segregate the first channel from the second channel almost entirely, other than the power supply, which you need for the tube. So try to keep everything.
Like if you show where we have like the plate, the grid, and the cathode running together, that kind of thing there.
Oh yeah.
For each stage.
Right. For each side of the tube, of course, you look at a 12AX7 or most of the type of the 9-pin preamps that we use is a dual triode. You'll have two sides to it. So what we try to do is segregate the two sides of the triodes. We'll try to separate the plate voltage from the grid and the cathode. But again, if you keep it neat, you can kind of shoehorn, your wiring in like this, to where you can actually move it around just a little bit, a couple millimeters, and you'll notice that it induces hum, or it actually reduces hum. So it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, it's like Steve was saying, you don't want to have two sides of your tubes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sit back
Just sit down.
We don't want to have two sides of the tube fighting each other, because whatever is coming out of one half of the tube could be induced back into the other side of the tube via lead dress or hum, or because you have voltage everywhere in that amp, you could be doing that. So that's basically what Steve was saying about trying to mitigate a lot of the hum like that. Just segregate a little different pieces of it, space them out. So, and that's what you saw there. And that's basically, a good 2-minute primer. Of course, we can go on this for hours.
And we'll actually cover some of that in the class.
Yeah, we do. We go through a lot of that, and the way that Fender really had a lot of this stuff figured out when they started designing the Tweeds. Right out of the gate with the 5F1, or before that, the 5E1 and 5D1s, you'll notice they had to move a lot of things around because they were using octal preamp tubes, and they can be very noisy, especially when you're talking about a chassis that's only literally like 16 square inches.
Yeah.
So, but later when they went to the 9-pin, and the 5E3s and the 5F1s and 5F2s and 5F11, things like that, they really had it figured out. And that was the basis for almost every amp company after that, how they laid out their chassis. It made sense the way they did it, and they had it all figured out. And there's a reason why they do that. Mm-hmm. Marshall kind of went a little weird sometimes. They did some, especially with the 900. I'm not going to get into that too much. And with the 18 watt, again, the phaser, the one that had the tremolo, it was kind of a mismatch of stuff that was thrown in the chassis. It worked fine. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't that high gain, you didn't have to worry about that much noise. So, everything worked fine. And but again, it's just something, when you start building an amp, it's nice to know these things, but you can't be expected to know this until you actually start doing it and get your hands in it and figure out what's really going on, because it's kind of hard to describe something that doesn't have a taste, touch, or smell to it. You have to hear it and know what to do with it. So,
I mean, trust me, on my first builds that I did years ago, it was a mess. I mean, it worked. It was noisy. It buzzed. It definitely oscillated. But again, I didn't know anything about as far as how to route and everything else. And this was 20 plus years ago when I did it. But it's something you learn with time and you get more familiar with, and something that as you're building, you go, oh wait, I've got to make sure that this doesn't cross over, or this circuit doesn't do it. And it's something that will come with time. And, again, as you guys are building and getting more familiar, on that Facebook group that I was just talking about, man, chime in. Say, hey, man, I'm stumped on this. Or shoot, send me AJ an email. It's AJ at Mojotone or Steve at Mojotone. We'll get right back to you. So.
Yeah, that's why we're here. So
yeah,
that's my whole job. So
yep,
80% of my day is just answering emails for tech questions and stuff. Believe it or not. So.
Let's see here. I got a couple people jumping in here. David's asking, says, did you all ever work out something with D-Lab for tech support?
That had come up. I don't think. No. Short answer, no, not yet. We are looking at that third-party thing for tech support because it. Of course, the more customers we get, our customer base, we've gone from, just an example, sell 2,000 kits a year. This year we're on a track for 4,000 to 6,000 kits a year. So, yes, we have customers that are still buying the same kits, but we're also increasing our customer base. And in doing that, we increase emails because more and more people are getting into this and they don't know how to do it. And unfortunately, sometimes they bite up more than they can chew. So, emails go through Steve, John Manning, and myself here. I kind of do the principal tech stuff here, and it gets to be a lot. So we have looked at the third-party thing, but that's hard to do just for the logistics of it. It sounds like it's a very easy thing to do, and it goes along the same lines as trying to have a class online. It sounds very easy to do that, but there's a reason that people want to take the class, in person, so we can give them that one-on-one. But when it's online, it's kind of a hard thing to do. And the same thing, with tech. If we have a third-party salesperson or a third-party tech guy, what happens a lot with me is that they're looking for a part. Okay, I found the part, and they want to put a sales order in. Well, in that case, they would have to send them over to Mojo because they won't be able to do that. They wouldn't have access to our back end to do sales orders, which is a lot of what I do. So we're running into things like that. But for right now. We're happy with where we're at. We're busy, but we're not to the point where it's just going off, crazy. It's taking me a week to answer emails sometimes. So, Fortunately, we're not at that point yet. I don't know if we're ever going to get to that point because I think we've peaked for this year. Hopefully, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We were looking at that earlier. Normally at summer we have a pretty good lull.
Yeah.
Just as far as business and everything else here, but. We've already seen that end, and we're already taking back up.
Yeah, we're taking back off. So it's a weird year. Really
so we definitely appreciate it by all means,
Yeah.
But yeah, we're managing the best as we can for sure. So, but Terry up at D Lab, great guy.
Yeah, it's
Great dude.
fantastic. Love his videos.
Yeah, definitely. Which I have, speaking of YouTube guys, I haven't seen anything lately from Uncle Doug, which kind of worries me. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Uncle Doug on YouTube. Well, on here on YouTube, because I have to remember we're not on Facebook today. That if you guys have never seen Uncle Doug, great dude. Always talks about he shows a lot of details, gives some history, that kind of stuff there. Awesome channel. Let's see here. What else we got here? We got. How'd that get up there? Not that one. That one. Hey, somebody from Texas. Let's see here. Then we got Larry from Australia. I want to come there one day. I really want to make it down to Australia one day. That is my bucket list. Don't ask why.
Everything there wants to kill you.
Well, it's a little dangerous, but the same on the complete opposite of that, I also want to make it up to Alaska. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I digress. I saw Australia and got excited. So, let's see here. What was something else somebody was asking here? Bear with me 1 second. Hang on, where'd it go? Oh, somebody was asking about the volume and tone control on the Tweed Deluxe and how they interact. If you guys have never messed with it, it's really, I think it's the only Fender that they did this with. That they did some interesting stuff with it. Okay, so normally on that's a Princeton. But normally on a deluxe reverb, you have your normal channel and your vibrato channel, tremolo, and there's pet peeve. There's two 220K resistors that are mixing resistors, and what that does, that helps separate the two channels. So if you had, even on a Marshall, what those do, they separate each one from going to ground, that kind of thing. So in the case of the Deluxe, and you look at the volume controls, the volume pod is actually wired backwards. Normally it always comes out the wiper in the middle.
Right.
But on that one there, they flipped it. But they had to do that because otherwise, if you turn one down, there's no volume on either.
Right.
But what that allows you to do, you can actually jumper it like you do on a Marshall. So you can plug in and you can mix the tone controls. You can set it kind of bright and then use the other channel to kind of blend in the bottom end. And depending on how you run it and depending on your guitar, you can do some interesting mixes and get almost, I won't say a scoop, but you can get a little bit of a dip in the mids.
Yeah.
Or you can just run it to the normal channel and everything's flat.
Right.
So, I don't know.
A lot of people, I get a lot of emails and people asking about wanting to add another tone control to Deluxe or a master volume. It's no, you don't want to do a master volume just because of the way that amp is. But, if you fiddle around with the two volumes enough, I've noticed with these classes that people they're 100% happy with, what's going on there. And it's really hard to describe. But yeah, it was the only Fender that was like that, but it's so musical in the way it works almost. If you haven't ever heard one, if you have a chance, mess around with one for a little bit, and you'll understand what's going on. So it's not just the tone control. There's also the volume that scoops it. It's kind of, I won't say it shelves it, but it moves that knee around a little bit.
Yeah.
And the frequency.
It's one of those. It's one of those. Like I said, it's adjusting how much signal goes to ground directly versus through a mixing resistors, which separates it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
It's pretty cool.
I mean, yes, you can you undo it so they're not interactive? Yeah, but you're going to change a little bit of the character of the amp.
Yep.
And like AJ was mentioned about as far as not putting a master volume on it, part of that sound of a Tweed Deluxe is that cathodion phase inverter just getting pummeled and collapsing. It's like another gain stage per se. So.
And that's really their only amp that they ever did that was only Tweed. Well, no, it might have been the only amp that is kind of a A/AB.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
1 second. My video.
sorry, hold on 1 second.
What is my phone doing? Sorry. Come back. Are we still live there?
No.
Oh no. Hold tight.
Speed it. There we go.
There we go. And we're back. Sorry about that.
All right.
Technical difficulties. You know how it goes. What can I say? Okay, so
But that was the only amp that of course it's it's considered a Class A amp, but it's also ventures into AB territory, which is kind of weird for you techies out there. If you ever want to see it on paper, it's really odd how that works. And that was really the only one, you know, a sort of pseudo not push pull to a 6v6 cathode bias. Weird thing going on there.
yeah, but the interesting part about that weirdness is it's our biggest seller.
Yeah,
It is probably the most
a great
copied and
amp.
duplicated
Yep.
amp out there.
You can't go wrong with it.
No.
You cannot go wrong with it. They're fun to build. They're fun to modify. They're great to record. Great to play live. Man, I tell you what, you play them underwater. I mean, those things.
Well,
They're
yeah.
not quite that, but yeah, they're
Once.
they're just great amps. You
Yeah.
know, we can't say enough about them.
No. Let's see here. What we got here? Dave was saying is that we're about Uncle Doug too. Yeah. It's one of those like when he goes quiet for a while, I'm like, you know, just because he's an older guy.
Yeah, he's usually very prolific.
Yes.
With his videos.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dave is saying Sierra Madre is in the foothills of northeast Pasadena, California. Okay, sweet. It's amazing how much different climates there are
yeah.
just in California. So,
Southern deserts and the northern snow.
yeah, exactly. Let's see what we got here. All right. Hello from Maine. Hi, welcome. That was a very open-ended and broad question, but how would you recommend troubleshooting a build with no sound all the way to noisy? Well, the best thing I can tell you to do with that, one, good starting point, measure voltages. That's if you have a wiring diagram or schematic with voltages, that tells you a lot. If you get to a point you go, it should read 120 volts and you've got 300, you know,
Yeah,
that's a
there's-
good
there's
point.
problem.
But if everything else is matched up, voltage-wise, and you're good, then you start working with process of elimination. If you have, say, a hum or noise, I typically start with the input, pull the first tube. If the hum stays there, okay, go to the next one, and just kind of work my way down. And that's pretty much how I do a lot of
that's-
troubleshooting and such with that.
Yeah, you have a signal chain. You always start with, you know, Steve and myself always start with the beginning. There are some people that start with other things, but if you start at the beginning and try to figure out where you're getting signal loss or hum at, that's the easiest way to go, because you break it down into smaller segments and doing that. And it's as easy as figuring out if you have a hum, removing tube, you know, one preamp tube. If it's still there, put that one back in, pull the next one. If it's not there, then you know it's in that one isolated circuit. If you don't have signal whatsoever, what you do is basically when you're checking your voltages and your voltages are fine and you still don't have any sound, a way to cheat is that you check your plate voltages across your preamp tubes, and if your amp is working okay, your output section is working fine, but your preamp section is not working, so you're not getting output. When you test your plate voltages on pin 3 for your octal tubes, you'll have a clicking or a popping. If you have that, then you know you're good. Then you move backwards to your phase inverter, check your plate voltages. You have a popping there, okay, that's good. Move back from there. So you work that case backwards. That's another, you know, simple thing you can do, and that usually pinpoints something in the preamp. If you have all your voltages and you still don't have any sound, it's usually something as simple as a ground.
Yep.
It's almost always something simple. If all your voltages are in the line going across your board, on the high voltage side of your board, which is usually on Marshalls, Fenders, and boxes, it will be the actual tube side of the board. The top side of the board, your signal side, which is your low voltage, but you want to check your voltages on the bottom side. Those are good. Check your grounds, because you could have everything in that amp perfectly working well, but if you're missing a signal ground, your voltage won't reflect that. But if you're missing like a cathode ground or something like that, your voltages will reflect that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So there's little things that you can do, you know, like that. It's just, you know, of course every situation is different, but that's how I like to look at it anyway.
That's a good general. That's I mean, like, it is a broad question, but it also that's a general rule of thumb is what we tend to try to do when troubleshooting. So, but definitely a good question. You know, hope that helps you out, man.
Yeah, always break it down into small pieces. Don't look at
Yeah.
the amp as a whole, because when you start to do that, you'll get frustrated and lost, and then you start doing random
And
weird
then
thing.
and then you end up making a mess, and then you're going, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
what in the
and
world
then-
did I do? And now you got to tear it all of it apart.
Yeah, don't make the problem worse by guessing.
Yeah.
Which is very easy to do.
Let's see here. Casey says 18 watt TMB kit on order, excited waiting delivery. What would be a top 5 things to know about its layout? Tweaks to consider doing on that amp. Well, I would say as far as tweaks, build it out first. Don't worry about doing mods. Don't worry about trying to add gain, whatever. Build it out, get it working. That is rule number 1. Because trust me, I am one to mod. You can ask AJ. You can look at any of my guitars I have at home.
He modded his toilet.
Well, true bypass.
Yeah, true bypass toilet.
Well, there we go. So yes, I do know the rabbit hole of wanting to go down mods and tweak and everything else. So that would be number 1. So build it out first. Like we mentioned earlier, layout is key. Keep your wire runs short. Like I mentioned on the preamps, try to run your cathode, your grid, and your plates together. Those 3 wires, like we were showing in the TMB. And if you ever want to reference, you can always go to the website and look at the TMB layout. We have the same wiring color diagram on there, and you can take a look at it that way, and run your wires in parallel that way. Sorry, kind of go over. Yeah, brain fart. But yeah, just look at that layout there and try to adapt that. Layout. Grounding is key. Yeah.
Yeah, grounding is key. Try to keep your grounds as short as possible. For any medium to high gain amp, you want to make sure that there's this rampant virus going around the internet called star grounding. And for it might work on smaller low gain amps and low output amps, but for really large stuff, I shouldn't say it's large, it's not, but for medium to high gain stuff, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Keep your first preamp and input grounds close to each other. Your second stage gain with your other inputs. Cathodes together. Your output transformer, output section. Try to keep that together. Your power supply segregated over by somewhere near the power transformer. Keep that away.
Yeah.
So if you follow that, you should be totally fine.
And there's actually, if you ever want to know more about what you just mentioned about the grounds, if you go and Google, Valve Wizard. There's a guy named Merlin. His website, I think, is valvewizard.co.uk or something like that, uk.co or something. That breaks down those sections in nice chunks that's readable. He goes into some of the math behind it, some of the really deep details, but he explains it in a way that's really helpful. He's also got a great book for explains a lot about the preamps, so that's also helpful too. I can't think of anything else more than just layout and grounds and that kind of thing there.
Just make sure you
take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Take your time.
Trust me, as much fun as it is, you're going, I'm so close, I just want to get it together.
Yeah.
I've done it, I've rushed it, and I get to the end and go, I forgot this, and I forgot this, and I forgot this. Oh, and then it takes the fun out of the excitement of turning it off.
It does. And make sure, of course, everybody wants to mod, but make sure that it's functioning 100%.
Yes.
And you get some hours on it before you mod it.
Yeah, get familiar with it.
Yeah, get very familiar with it, and don't do mods online because it says, oh, this makes the amp better. Well, that's fine, but
That may make it better for somebody else.
yeah, somebody else, but it's not yours. Then once you have in your head what you're playing with, and it might have shortcomings, it might not, but you'll know what the shortcomings are, and you'll know what direction you need to go to mod, your amp to where you need it to be.
Yeah.
Don't do any unnecessary mods because it leads, it can lead if you're not 100% sure what you're doing. It'll lead you down a path to destruction to where it just turns into a nightmare. It's nothing, that you wanted. I've just seen it happen so many times that, people mod as they're building and they can't get it going. They can't get it working because, something they read on the internet, and you do this. So I saw this wiring diagram that had this on it, and they're working off 3 different wiring diagrams trying to get these things going, and it never works. It just never works. So focus on the build itself. Get that going 100%.
Yeah.
Know what you're building. Make sure it's built right. Make sure it sounds right. If it doesn't, again, you need to do something to it. You mod it down the road. Get used to it. It's like a pair of jeans. You're not going to buy a brand new pair of jeans and take a sander to them to get them to fit right. I mean, just so don't. Of course, you can buy them now that I've already sanded for you. But
it just costs twice as much.
Yeah. But work with it.
Yeah.
Work with it and see what you need and tailor it to what you need.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. We got somebody. So hello from the Bay Area. You got a lot of people from California today.
Yeah. Wow.
We got some low-level hum and deluxe reverb. It's still there with all the preamp tubes pulled. Any tips on where to look next?
Still there with all the tubes pulled.
Okay, well, all the preamp tubes. Okay, so that puts you back into the power amp section, and the first 2 stages really in the phase inverter. One, make sure you got matched output tubes. If you have a mismatch, you'll have one pulling a little harder than the other, and you lose some of that noise cancellation. That's a good point there. Make sure you got the ground that comes up from the 2, let's say it's a deluxe reverb, the 2 16 UF caps that are tied together. Make sure that goes up and over to a good solid ground point where it comes through from the doghouse back across. Make sure that's good. What else could it be? I think what else it might be.
Mechanical coupling or magnetic coupling.
Yeah,
but that's kind of rare.
Yeah, that's a rare thing too, to where you'll actually have the transformer actually will be vibrating. It does happen on occasion. Doesn't necessarily mean the transformer is bad.
No, you just rotate your power transformer.
Well, yeah.
So it's really that simple.
And the other thing that if you turn it on whatever and it's really doing that, and you're not watching your current, it could be drawing current, which would be causing hum, that kind of thing there. Yeah. But again, look at your grounds, look how you have that, since you've isolated, which great job on isolating it down, removing the preamp tubes, isolating to that power section. That's where I would look. Again, like it was mentioned about a star ground kind of thing, you got to watch that kind of stuff. I tend to put everything power supply, obviously center taps and everything else is close to where your ground to your power cord comes in. Then everything else kind of comes a little bit farther, and preamp ground is way over here to keep it away from any kind of noise that is that way.
Right. You could also have problems with your bias supply if your bias is running way too high.
Yeah.
You could induce hum into your circuit, or if you have a faulty. I think those are 8 UF.
Yeah, 8 UF at 150s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, wait. In a deluxe reverb, I'm sorry, it'd be like be a 50 at 50 or 100 at 100.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got your.
It's
bias
up in the top
board.
corner.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check
make sure if it is humming, make sure you're not red lighting. That's also another one.
Yeah.
Make sure that diode's pointing the right way. So, but definitely a good question. So and if you get stumped on something, shoot us either AJ or I an email. We'll see if we can help you out. Let's see here. Casey says, thanks for the feedback, guys. Not a problem. That's what we're here for. Let's see here. He says, hello from Berghoff.
Where's that?
Wait a minute. So you're like down the street? Is that what you're talking
in the
about?
parking lot, sitting in the car.
Yeah, you're sitting out there going, hey. Hi, guys. Walk outside, hi. Let's see here. I had a couple of questions that were on Facebook, here. All right, so we had somebody asking about a Princeton reverb, Blackface Princeton reverb kit, and wanting to add a mid-control knob to it, and that's really easy to do. And he mentioned as far as you can put it in the back. A lot of times you can pull the if you don't have to drill, you can pull the extension cab jack out and put the mids there. And what it would do, it would replace, I believe that one's used the 6.8K for the mid resistor. And he was mentioned on here as far as being able to add a mid control, but be able to take the tone control out. And that was actually, it's not that hard to do. I would suggest doing something maybe like a 25K maybe 50K audio taper pot there. And what you want to do is, because he mentioned about being able to bypass the tone stack. Well, when you go to like a 50K and you turn it all the way up, that's a 50K reference to ground. So instead of having that load, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the actual curve of the tone stack. You know, it drops like 6 or 8 dB off the original signal, and so you have the dip. So as you take and turn that mid control up, what this does, it starts to flatten out, and as it starts to come up here, the whole thing starts to lift, and you get kind of a gain boost. And it kind of puts it in kind of a Tweed flavor to it. So it's real easy to do. And if you ever want to take it out, you don't have to drill anything. You just put the jack back in and put your resistor back in, and so you're good to go. So let's see here. We had a couple people jump in here. Says, thanks guys, appreciate you doing these. Hey, yeah, it's one of those. I happened to, on a whim, do it when this whole craziness broke out on a Saturday night. I was like, see what happens, you know. And you guys seem to enjoy it, which, hey, we enjoy hanging out with you guys. So let's see here. Joey says, upstate New York checking in. What's going on? Welcome.
Where in upstate New York,
Like
Joey?
how upstate? That's what
Yeah,
it says. I didn't realize how big New York actually was.
New York's huge.
Until I drove through there about a year or so ago. 2 years ago. Okay. Let's see here. Someone was they're asking us if we were to make a 5F10 Harvard chassis. We don't really get too many of those.
No.
But you could easily do it.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've been here more than 10 years now, and I probably had a request twice for those chassis. I actually went and drew one out, but honestly, it's never really that popular of an amp, honestly.
And to be honest, if you want a Harvard, let me put it back. If you want a Harvard circuit, build out the Fiberlux.
Yeah.
Because it's literally that circuit.
Yeah.
Just add in a tremolo.
Yeah.
Because the Harvard used a 6 volt 2 signal gain stage in that first one.
Oh wait, was that fixed bias?
Yeah, it's fixed bias.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It was 5.
Yeah, so it was basically a 511
Yeah.
without trim. So super easy thing to do there.
So fixed bias deluxe.
Pretty much.
So.
Yeah, pretty much right on it. So let's see what Joey says. It says, thank you all very much for everything you do. It's awesome. So hey, we appreciate you guys, man. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Showing interest and wanting to build these things and get on here and talk shop and all that fun stuff. So hey, we appreciate it. Let's see here. He says, Parton, New York, Southern Tier, half west of
Binghamton.
Binghamton. Words today. I feel like I need I don't know if any of you guys have watched the JHS show. Where it does the little things. Words is hard.
Words is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how much that the JHS show has coined, like, he has the box, or that kind of, because now it's ingrained in my brain. It's silly. If you haven't ever watched the JHS show on here, it's great. Josh does an awesome deep dive, like I'm talking like nerd deep dive into pedals and history, and tells great stories about this stuff. So let's see here. Somebody was asking about them. We covered about that. Where else did we go? Oh, any idea on our 100-watt plexi transformers coming back in stock? I don't know of anything off the top of my head. I know we got a lot of questions about the transformers and when we're getting them back in stock.
It's a week by week thing right now.
Yeah.
We just man, I tell you, it's been a rough few months for transformers. Honestly, I don't know, but we can find the answer for you. Mm-hmm. Email sales@mojotone.com, mm-hmm. and we'll find that answer for you. But I don't have that answer right now. I don't want to give you a bogus answer because right now it's all over the place as far as transformers. So
let's see here. I'm trying to see if there's any other ones that people asked.
Not to cause a stir out there, but
Look out.
Speaking of transformers, well, in the same vein, tubes. Tubes are becoming more and more scarce.
Mm-hmm.
There was a one huge factory in China that I'd say two of the major tube companies get their tubes from that have been shut down.
It's been, 2 years now, I think.
Almost 2 years, yeah. And right now, we're starting to feel the repercussions for it. They had so much backstock. Hopefully, by the beginning of next year, they will be opened up. But don't be surprised if you see tube prices start to elevate towards the end of this year, because it is getting more and more difficult for electro-harmonics, TAD. Of course, electro-harmonics has, good Lord, 10 names under there.
Yeah.
They got Sovtek, Mullard, Svetlana, they got all kinds of names under that.
All those things, yeah.
So it's all starting to, it's coming to fruition now. So it's going to be interesting to see.
So.
We haven't had any problems yet because we buy in such a volume that it hasn't been a problem. But
I know they're turning them out as fast as they can.
And JJ right now they've got a Tesla, which is out of the Czech Republic, I believe, right now. They're working on about a 3 to 4 month backlog as it is right now.
Yeah.
And as more and more companies are starting to run out of these other tubes that they're getting from manufacturers, they need something to fill the gaps. And I have a feeling that JJ is going to be the company that fills that gaps. The reason I say that is because JJ's been good, but if that happens, JJ is going to be falling behind like the other ones, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be kind of a lull, and it's going to be a little nutty for a little bit, but it'll work itself out. And the biggest thing is not to get freaked out about it.
No, don't freak out. We're fine.
Yeah, we're good. So
just let you know.
Let's see here. The Great Beyond says, "Hi from London, UK." That's another place I want to make it to one day. So I'm not sure we can get Mojotone amps here, but you guys have been part of my research. I'm interested in building a blackface deluxe and ahead. Any tips?
Yeah, build it.
Yeah.
That's the only tip.
Yeah.
That's the best tip you'll get. Build one.
If you've never built before, I would suggest not taking that on as a first-time build.
Right.
Get at least 1 or 2 amps under your belt before you get that one. Because there's a lot going on inside that chassis. I mean, your next best bet would be to build a Princeton. It's a single channel, a little bit simpler. Obviously, it's definitely a big jump from a Tweed Deluxe because you have more space now, but you also have that much more components you can put in there, that much more stuff you got to worry about wiring, noise in the reverb, tremolo, ticking, that kind of stuff there. Yeah. That's all kinds of things there. It all boils down to kind of like what I was talking about earlier with that one. Take your time, break it down into chunks.
Yeah.
Lead dress.
Yeah. It is. It's the blackface amps from say about the deluxe reverb up. Let me back up. When you're dealing with the Tweed amps, the smaller ones like the deluxe and the Princeton, things like that, it's the component placement. It's pretty straightforward. The leads are really short and it's kind of obvious where everything goes. But when you start getting into the larger amps like the deluxe reverb and all the AB 763 amps after that and everything else. It's not so much a matter of component placement, it's a matter of your actual how the amp is built, and that comes down to the person's ability, the person's knowledge of knowing how to do that. That's something that you can't learn in a manual. You'll only learn that by actually doing it. So there's a lot of unseen variables with that amp. That's why we all, like Steve was saying, start with something a little bit smaller if you haven't done that. Because that, honestly, that could be the point that you say to yourself, I want to build amps, so I'm going to do a deluxe reverb, get halfway into the deluxe reverb. It's the worst experience you've ever had, and you never want to touch an amp again, versus going to a Princeton, a Tweed Princeton or deluxe, getting through it and say, okay, I got it now. We can move up.
It helps give you that confidence. You go, okay, I'm about to tackle something. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm already overwhelmed.
Yep.
But you build it and it fires up and you're going, okay.
Yeah.
You go, I feel comfortable taking on the next thing. What's the next challenge?
Yeah,
and it excites you about it.
You have to set yourself up for success in doing this stuff. You just can't do it blindly. I mean, you're not going to go to the DMV and get your license without taking a test. I mean, you're not going to walk in the front door have driven a car and expect to pass the test. It's the same thing, even more so with IAM. If you've never done any electronics work, you know, next thing you know, you've got 300 parts sitting in front of you. You have no idea what they do.
Yeah.
So
let's see here. But yeah, you know, like I said, like I've mentioned, you know, if you get stumped, email us.
yeah, that's why we're here. So
Yeah, definitely. And we're trying to get to where we can do this more on a more regular basis. Like I said, we're trying out today over here on YouTube to see. You guys requested YouTube more over Facebook, which is cool. No problem there. So we'll see how this seems to be working out pretty well. So
yeah, it's nice.
yeah. Let's see here. A lot of good interaction, which is nice for us here.
Come on.
96 5150 Cabo, and hopefully you have some sort of engine hoist to move that thing.
Yeah.
'Cause that sucker weighs a ton.
It weighs 100 pounds.
Do I need to worry about the caps? No. The later stuff, the later components are built better. You know, more consistency, tighter tolerances. I wouldn't worry about it unless it starts doing a buzz or hum of some sort. Then I would suggest getting it into attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I look at is like, if it's not humming, not buzzing, and you're playing it, whatever, you're good. So.
Yeah, PV builds their stuff right.
Yeah.
Well, they did in that era. So
Yeah.
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked on a couple different ones that have the original tubes from that era and keep on trucking, man. So.
They build those things very well.
Yep. Let's see here. Out of the tubes you get from China, how many are bad?
Oh, that's a good question.
Not too many.
Not many at all.
Because like Tad got theirs from there,
Mm-hmm.
and those were they put those things through the riggers before
Yeah.
they would ship them out. So a lot of rigorous testing, matching, that kind of stuff there. So they would weed out a lot of the bad ones before we got to them.
Yeah, they've really. China has really nailed this down. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to say they make a bunch of crap, but that's not the case. They've really upped the past 20 years. They really upped their QC programs across the industrial sector of China, and tubes went along with that. And honestly, hardly ever see a failure. Just really consistent. I've noticed with batches that I've seen from there, because we've been contacted by companies that want to make tubes for us, labeled our tubes, and we've gotten a lot of batches in, and they were totally consistent from tube to tube. And of course, everybody knows that China is great at replicating things.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, not only did they replicate it, they also bought a lot of the machinery that was being used in the U.S. for this, for tubes. They also bought equipment from Philips, Telefunken, all these companies, and they're using it. And just to say that a tube is Chinese to say it's crap is not right at all whatsoever. They're making some pretty decent stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple hi-fi companies that I know of. Spain.
Oh yeah, Spain. It's Gold Lion, but
Gold Lion.
That's Electro-Harmonix.
That's Electro-Harmonix. I believe it comes from Russia, but some I've seen that comes from China that's used in a lot of high-end audio.
Yeah.
That people love, and who was it? Dave Friedman. One of his favorite preamp tubes to put in like his BE Deluxes was the Chinese 12AX7s.
Mm-hmm.
They were low noise, low microphonics. I'm like, okay, can't argue with that.
Yeah, they've got that stuff nailed down.
So
I would have no problem putting Chinese tubes in any amp, to be honest with you.
No, maybe like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of questionable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Let's see here. Joe's asking. It says, "What's a good starter kit for me? Hella could solder better than me. How do I practice?" Great starter kit. Tweed Deluxe, hands down, easiest one. Well, I say easiest one would be the Champ, but
yeah, you just want the Champ, but
Tweed Deluxe.
Yeah, a lot of diehard guitar guys. If you're just getting into guitar, Champ's fine. But if you've been in guitar for years and you really want to build something, if you get into a Champ, it's very easy to build, and you learn a lot with it, but you grow out of it really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Princeton, but the Deluxe seems to be that comfort area, to where it applies all the same build knowledge and skills at what you need for a Princeton or a Champ, but it's got more parts. So not that it makes it harder, it just has more parts. It's just a little bit bigger Tweed that you won't grow out of as quick. So.
Yeah, and I think for me, it has a 12-inch versus like a little 8-inch. An 8-inch, you don't get a lot of bottom end out of it. 10's is better, but that 12, for my playing, I like that bigness that it has.
Yes, it's great. We can't say enough about it. I love that.
Yeah, and that's what all of our amp classes are based around, is the Tweed Deluxe. We did do the TMB for a couple times, but that needed to be a 3-day build just because there's a little bit more going on there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Bill is saying 65 Vibrolux. I added 2 new Webers, 1 ceramic Alnico. I kind of like it. I would have liked some instant 2 speakers. Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's become the thing to be able to do now. Back in the day, you just went to Marshall and you got a Marshall cabinet.
Yeah.
Greenback.
Yeah.
You got what you could get, and now you have where you can get gobs of different models from Celestion, Eminence, us.
Yeah, us.
That kind of thing there. Man, mix them, see what you like.
Yeah, that seems to be, for the past couple of years, that's the trend, that nobody's doing the 4x12 stacks anymore. Everybody's doing the 2x12s, and not necessarily to play it as a 2x12. What they'll actually do is they'll use a Greyhound on one side and a Creamback on the other, or a BV. The most popular is the BV30H and a Greyhound, maybe?
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's a Greyhound.
Good bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll use it in a 2x12 cab, but they'll mic both speakers separately for home recording.
Mm-hmm.
And that also works live, because basically you have 2 different tones coming out of the same cabinet for no added space. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and what you get is like in your case there, you have a ceramic and you got an Alnico. An Alnico will tend to compress fast, and just it'll almost have a kind of a compression thing going to it, whereas the ceramic is going to stay punchy. So you have this nice balance of compression and punchiness. It's almost like having a compressor and a mix knob.
Yeah.
In that particular case there. Whereas like you're mixing speakers in a 2x12 cabinet, you have one that maybe has some good highs and a good solid bottom end, and you got one that jumps out in the mids, and then you end up with this nice balanced sound. So man, go for it.
Yeah, it's a great way to tailor your sound where you need it.
Let's see here. Tom's asking here, is there a head shell option for the Tweed Deluxe? Yes. It's probably 8 inches tall.
I don't remember.
It's a little taller. It has to be taller because remember the tubes hang down, so you have to accommodate space on the bottom of the cabinet so that you're not roasting the wood that's underneath it, that kind of thing there. So I want to say it's probably, I can probably look it up here in a second, but 1 second. Tweed Deluxe head, I'll tell you. But yes, we do have that option here, I'm pretty sure. 1 second. Tweed Deluxe head. Survey says. There it is. Survey says. Yes, we do. Of course we do. Yeah, if you go on our website and just search Tweed Deluxe head, it'll come right up for you. I can actually show you real fast. Here, it looks kind of like that. It is, like I said, it is a little bit taller because we have to accommodate for the space because the tubes hang down, that kind of thing. But yeah, certainly do that for you. What else we got here?
Man, to play a Deluxe into a 4x12, oh my goodness. If you've never heard that before, that's something you got to do.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
And I know what some people are going to say. Well, it's only a 15 or 12 or 15 watt amp. It's not going to be able to push it. It'll push a 412 all day long.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is nasty.
It's kind of like the little Studio One kit.
Yeah. Same thing.
That one there. It's 1 watt, but it will push a 412. You'd be surprised. It sounds great.
That's crazy.
So, let's see here. What we got? Built a Tweed Champ for the first build, just for something small and easy. Great.
Nice.
Wasn't expecting how much I love it, especially turning it all the way up. Exactly. So, see?
Yeah.
There you go.
This thing's a little monsters.
Yeah, you can overdrive them. You can mod them. You can do all kinds of stuff with it.
Mhm.
So very easy to do. So awesome, well, guys. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come hang with us. It is Friday. We're gonna head home and get play with some stuff this weekend. You know, by all means, hopefully you guys you got some projects to work on, whatever, or tweak around with.
Yeah.
So obviously, hopefully you guys have fun, enjoy it. We'll be on. I'll try to figure this out. It'll probably be about 2 weeks, I think,
Yeah.
from now. We'll try to do it again. And by all means, if you have questions that you want us to talk about, email aj@mojotone.com or steve@mojotone.com, and we'll make sure we talk about it. So, yeah, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you, everybody.
See y'all.